Welcome back to Vikes with a mic. As always, here with my brother Tyler. Feels good to be back. I know that we recorded an episode like a month and a half ago. Might have even been longer than that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know it's been a wild couple breaks that we've had here, but there really hasn't been a whole lot of changes happening with the Vikings. However, that being said, it is the start of training camp. There have been some changes with the roster, some additions, or really just one specific addition that we're really excited to talk about. And some other news as well, obviously, surrounding the current situation that the NFL and the rest of the world is in with COVID-19 still, all that good stuff. So let's dive right into it. Just a quick episode, probably about 30 or so minutes today, kind of hashing out all the stuff that we haven't really gotten to talk about. So Tyler, we have a wide receiver 3 in Minnesota. Dede Westbrook. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Big fan of our wide receivers coach who used to be in Jacksonville. Dede even said that his wide receivers coach is kind of like a father figure to him, which I found really cool. Obviously a huge reason why he signed here with us. It was a 1-year deal on the vet minimum. Tyler, tell me what you think about Dede Westbrook and what he's going to bring to this offense.
I like it a lot. I think he's a lot better than he's proven in this league compared to most of our guys on this roster behind Thielen and Jefferson. He hasn't put up huge numbers, but he's put up wide receiver 3 numbers, and that's really what I'm looking for at the position, honestly. Like, I think he's a lot better than what we have. I mean, you know, Chad Beebe, I mean, I'm not a big fan of him. I know you're not a big fan of him. It's just he's not very consistent. Same with BC Johnson. None of these guys are consistent. They're not proven NFL receivers. I think Dede Westbrook's a proven NFL receiver, and I think he also has more talent than them. I mean, he lit it up in college at Oklahoma. Speaking of consistency, like Amir Smith-Marset said, I mean, he hasn't even played it. We don't know about him yet, but he hasn't even played yet. So I feel like getting a guy that's played in the NFL and get him at this position, I think it's huge. I mean, he's not going to be I feel like the wide receiver 3 thing isn't like as valuable as people think. Like it's big that we got Dede, but like we just need him to make catches on 3rd down because I don't feel like we're going to be running a lot of 3 receiver sets. That's not this
right.
3rd down. And the problem with that pass is we haven't really had the guy who's come up and made a big catch when the teams are looking at Thielen and Jefferson. That wide receiver 3, whenever they've gotten the ball in the past, it's been dropped. And I think Dede's the guy who's going to go out there and make a play. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I could not agree with you more.
And that's why the signing is huge.
Yeah. And I think kind of the other cool thing about this signing is just how fit for this position Dede Westbrook is, right? Like I saw a statistic that he played in the slot over 80% of the snaps that he played in Jacksonville last year. So like this is a guy who, and obviously he's big enough too. Like he can go and play on the outside, you know, if he needs to, you know, he'll line up wherever. He's made a name for himself in the NFL, and he's been able to last for a certain amount of years in the roles that he's been in. But kind of basically like what you were saying, like now it feels like we finally have a consistent option behind Thielen and Jefferson, because it's amazing to have 2 top 10, if at the very least top 15 in my mind, about 2 top 10 basically guys in the NFL at wide receiver. But when it completely falls off after that, no offense to BB or BC or, you know, like you said, Amir Smith, who hasn't even played. KJ, yeah, jeez. But he's proven he can play from the slot. So JJ can keep dominating on the outside, you know, proving people wrong. Just all those guys that thought he was only going to be an NFL slot receiver. Thielen can keep doing what he does in the red zone, being a touchdown machine. And the other great thing that this signing helps us with is special teams. Dede will be there for kick returns, punt returns, wherever he's asked to be. he will be there. And that is so exciting to me to have somebody back who kind of knows what they're doing. I mean, the last time we had somebody back there who knew what they were doing was Marcus Sherrills. And it got to the point where he was just not bad by any means, but he just got too old, basically. I think he was genuinely starting to get worried about the wear and tear that his body was going to take if he kept getting freaking, smacked by these gunners. And that's kind of why he didn't perform that well his last year in purple at punt returner. But it's going to be really nice to not like be freaking out every single time there's a punt or a kickoff. Oh my God.
I'm just happy you brought that up because I kind of forgot for a second because I think wasn't he taking reps, first team reps, punt return yesterday, right?
Sounds about right. Yep. Yeah,
I think I was taking reps at punt return. So I'd expect him to take that job. I mean,
absolutely.
Anything better than KJ Osborne.
Yeah, no, KJ ain't getting it. That ain't happening. And yeah, so I think him, maybe Kene Nwengu.
Oh yeah, true.
Running back. Yeah. He's a solid option. Kick returns. And then potentially, again, this is where that Emir Smith, Marsette's draft pick comes in. So that's potential as well. But yeah, just super interesting stuff. I love the signing of Dede Westbrook. Obviously, his name was attached to the Vikings for a long time. I think we actually brought it up in multiple episodes.
We have,
in the past. It's just finally put the pen to paper. What was it? It wasn't even. Was it just a week ago? I mean, like it was like right before.
Yeah, right before training camp.
Yeah, it was like literally a couple days before training camp. I want to say so. I don't even think it's been
right before rookies reported. Yep.
Yeah, so it's pretty awesome. Feels good. Feels good to have a better weapon on the offensive side. Let's see though. There's a lot more to talk about for sure. Yep. Let's get into Rick Dennison next. Stay on the offensive side of the ball. So for those of you who don't know, Rick Dennison is the now former offensive line coach of the Minnesota Vikings. There was a time at which it was believed the Vikings would be completely letting him go due to his apprehension of the COVID-19 vaccine. He does not seem to want to be vaccinated, and because of that, he can't be in contact basically with the players, from my understanding. So either that or it just makes his job much more complicated in how he would have to go about being in contact with said players. So there was a time where we thought he was just going to be completely let go. However, he has been now hired as an senior offensive assistant, I believe is his official title now. What are your thoughts on this, Tyler?
I wasn't a huge fan of Dennison. I mean, our offensive line hasn't been good the last couple of years. Apparently some of the players do like him though. I've been hearing Dalvin was a fan of him.
Dalvin, and Alexander Madison, big fans of him.
The players are liking him, then I mean, cutting him just because of this vaccine seems kind of stupid. But like, if they want to moving him to this new role, I feel like it's fine, especially if the team wants it. I mean, I feel like it's up to them. I don't really have like an opinion on it. He was a whatever coach. I mean, he's won a Super Bowl as a coach or something, but like his resume hasn't been that good with the Vikings compared to like other teams.
Right. So he has a lot of experience, and like you can't take that away from him. Like, he's had a long career in the NFL. So in order to do that, obviously you have to be proving yourself in some way. That being said, as an offensive line coach, it really doesn't seem like he's been proving himself these past couple of years in Minnesota. We've had an absolutely atrocious offensive line. But maybe we'll see a change here. And obviously the fact that, yes, he's kept on the coaching staff, the fact that the Vikings aren't getting rid of somebody just because they don't want to have a vaccine. I think that to an extent is a good thing. I will also say, though, I am by no means anti-vax or anti any of that stuff. Like, go get vaccinated. I do not want to go back into a lockdown. But that being said, everybody has a right to choose. And I don't know if at Rick's point in his career that should jeopardize him like completely being fired from a team.
Yeah.
Because he has made a name for himself to a degree in the NFL and has gained respect, obviously from his players, like we just talked about with those who are kind of singing his praises to an extent. So good on the Vikings for keeping him around, making sure he's staying involved in some way, shape, or form. Hopefully promoting, is it Rouser? Is that his last name, I believe? Rouser?
Something like that.
Phil Rouser, I believe, is his name. He's apparently like super great up and coming offensive line coach. Apparently, the past couple of years, people have been wanting to take him away, according to Mike Zimmer, and he just kept telling him like, "No, please stay with us. We'll increase your workload if or like kind of keep increasing your title if that's what it takes," because they knew that Rick was potentially going to be retiring at some point after over 20 years in the NFL, and they wanted him to take over as the offensive line coach. So this, I mean, to that extent, it's great that he's taking over. Like if they really feel that good about him, awesome.
I mean, where was this a couple of years ago then?
Right.
Just like, what's going on here?
It's just, it's all politics, right, man?
I mean, like, why did we just move Rick to this role 2 years ago? It's just whatever.
Who knows?
I don't know.
But it'll be interesting. I'm excited about it. But yeah. So obviously, second day of training camp actually hasn't even officially wrapped up yet. Still going on. But we are in the second day of training camp. How are you feeling about the first day of training camp? What did you see that you liked? What are you excited to see? Obviously, we're going to training camp on the 4th. So what are you excited to be?
I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see Kellen Mond. That's the first thing I really want to see. Like, I mean, that throw he made yesterday was kind of nice. I mean, I know he probably got sacked, but that throw,
yes,
anyway,
I did
you know
see
what I'm
that.
talking about. You know that throw I'm talking about. But
yes, to Amir Smith.
Yeah, just seeing Kellen Mond on the football field is just going to be so fun. I mean, I've never seen him in action, so this is going to be interesting. Seeing a guy that can actually play quarterback behind Kirk Cousins for the first time in this era is going to be fun to watch.
Right. I think it's going to be really cool. That's why I'm excited, honestly, about the preseason games, too.
Like, yeah, for real. That's
for once more stoked beyond, like, this idea of, knowing the entire roster and just like being able to watch preseason games, unlike most fans, because I literally know every single one on the team. This time it's like, oh my God, like we actually get to see potentially the up and coming quarterback go out here and try and perform and really show us what he's got. So just super interesting, super exciting. Couldn't agree.
Especially he's going to get most of the snaps too in the first couple games. I mean, Kirk will get a series, and then Mond's going to get probably a half, maybe. Obviously a full quarter for sure, but maybe even a half. I mean, we'll see. Just to see him on the field tomorrow is gonna be fun. Working with the other quarterbacks and the players, it's just offensive. It's gonna be fun.
And then so stoked.
And then just one other thing I'm gonna be like kind of like watching, having an eye on is probably the kicking battle. Is Riley Patterson? Is he gonna be out there? Do you know?
Riley Patterson, from what I saw, was on. Was it the PUP list? I believe he's injured. And I don't think he's technically practicing at like a full extent, if that makes any sense. So Greg Joseph, 3 days ago, Vikings placed kicker Riley Patterson on the PUP list. So if that is correct, then I don't think he'll be able to. Patterson, undrafted rookie players.
I would just
expected to compete against Greg Joseph for the kicking gig in Minnesota. So I assume he'll be taken off the PUP list to some degree soon, and that kicking battle will commence. Hopefully, when we're there on the 4th, it'll be taking place. But yeah, that you bring up a great point. So it's Riley Patterson and Greg Joseph. Those are the
Yep.
two guys.
And the interesting thing about it is we haven't seen any of these guys kick for the Vikings. Neither of these guys
Right.
we have not seen kick for. That's why it's very interesting to me. We've not seen any of these dudes in game action in a Minnesota Vikings jersey. Greg Joseph, I think, had a little stint with the Cleveland Browns, but it wasn't that much. Riley Patterson, obviously a rookie from Memphis, I think, but he had some good college numbers, pretty consistent. So there's an undrafted free agent, I believe. So
Yep, UDFA from Memphis.
It's definitely going to be interesting. We haven't seen these guys. I always being at training camp watching the two kickers. They'll go back and forth. I think it might have been 2019 or 18. We were at training camp. And it was like Dan Bailey and somebody going back and forth kicking into our direction. It's pretty entertaining.
Was that when Vedvik was on?
Oh, it was when it was when Ved.
I think it was Dan Bailey and Vedvik.
Kyer Vedvik. Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh, that name just is haunted, though.
Yeah, Ved Viking. Yeah.
Oh, my
geez.
God. What did we get? Oh, no. Okay, I don't even want to talk about it again. Never mind.
But, yeah, no, I'm glad you bring that up because that's another really exciting thing to look forward to at training camp. For me, I think the most exciting thing is Danielle Hunter. Seeing him back on the field.
Yeah.
Just watching anything that has to do with the defensive line. I mean, the guys that we've signed, the guys that were – like a guy that we're getting back in Michael Pierce and Danielle Hunter, along with obviously Dalvin Tomlinson and Sheldon Richardson, and then the rookies. It's so interesting to me because we were arguably the worst defensive line in the NFL last year, and we need to be a million times better if we want to do anything. Pressure creates diamonds, right? And I mean, we need pressure on the defensive side. I like where our cornerback room is at more than last year too, but that doesn't mean anything if you can't get to the quarterback. So I'm super stoked. I saw some Danielle Hunter things already. He's not like going hard by any means. I know Michael Pierce is also taking it pretty slow because he has a little bit of a calf injury going on. But both those guys should be just fine by then. Zimmer made it very clear that Michael Pierce is not dealing with a tweak, like he said with Danielle Hunter last year, which turned obviously into a season-ending injury. So it's not a tweak for Michael Pierce, which is good. But so that's probably what I'm the most excited for is the defensive line battle. Specifically, although they've been seeing Danielle switch from left and right defensive end throughout practice, who is going to take the end spot opposite Danielle Hunter? Who is going to come out with that? Are they going to make Sheldon Richardson into kind of defensive end style attacker on this defense? Because he knows he's not going to be a starter. So are they going to put him in as a kind of a rotational guy? It's very interesting. It's very exciting to me. And then if I had to choose another thing, I'm going to stay on another line, just the offensive line.
Yeah.
Because we already know, I think it was Oli Udoh is out there right now. And was it Dozier as well? It was Rashad okay, Hill. Thank God.
Rashad Hill.
I was going to say. See, because Rashad Hill, quite honestly, he's maintained a spot on this roster for several years now, and he has been a fairly good plug-and-play guy when we need him. So, I mean, if for some reason he shows up and becomes a really solid option for them, that's great. I think Christian Darrisaw is going to eventually take over at that left tackle position. And I think he's seriously going to anchor this line for many years to come. I really do believe that. But that being said, you can only put rookies in when they're ready. So
exactly.
Look forward to the battles at right and left guard. Obviously, assuming Ezra Cleveland and Wyatt Davis are going to be the main guys that get leaned on once we get into the kind of meat of the season. But who knows? Like I said, I just want the best combination, right? So whoever is performing the best, I do not care about names. Just give me what you want.
And it's just to Vikings fans that are not seeing Darrisaw and Wyatt Davis on the first team on day one, it's not a big deal. I mean, these guys are rookies. They're not going to come in right away. They got to battle for their spot. And I mean, at the end of the day, like Rashad Hill is serviceable. I mean, he's maybe not a starter in the NFL, but he might need to come in a few games and play. I mean, we'll see with injuries.
Yeah,
I mean,
you never know.
He's not the worst. The only guy, like Dakota Dozier's the guy I just don't want to see on the first team.
Right.
I mean,
absolutely. He
that's
should
the
not
main goal
even
here.
be on the roster at this point. I still don't understand that, but it's fine.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're going to see how Darrisaw and Davis perform in camp. I'm excited about that too. I mean, I think Darrisaw for sure will be a starter. Davis, we don't know yet, but the talent speaks for itself. The tape, he's good enough, but we don't know yet.
Right. Yep. It's all dependent on, his injury history, I think, and how much he starts to work on his fundamentals and pass protection. We know how dominant he is in the run game, but that's not really where we need the fixing right now. This offensive line has been pretty dang good downhill for Dalvin Cook. Now we need to work on making sure that we're protecting Kirk Cousins and getting that passing game to be just as elite as the running game so we can go out and win a freaking championship. So yeah, super exciting stuff. I'm stoked. I can't wait for both of those big time battles on both the offensive and defensive line. So those are things that we'll have to keep on the lookout for as far as training camp goes. And we'll obviously make a pretty detailed observation list when we go on the 4th, I'm sure. And we'll make a episode all about that. Any other big news that comes out, we'll be touching on that. So, but unless I'm forgetting something, I believe that's really it as far as Vikings news goes. However, there is, with this last, 10-ish minutes or so, something that I want to touch on, and it does affect the Vikings for sure.
Yep.
And that is the situation across the border in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Aaron Rodgers has reworked his contract with the Green Bay Packers. I actually haven't seen the official details yet. I don't know if they've been released.
I don't think they've been released.
Okay. So we don't really understand yet if he's going to become an unrestricted free agent next year or if they're just going to revisit the idea of trading him next year. But there are rumors from highly credible sources basically saying that Green Bay is voiding the last several years of his contract so that Rodgers can have control over his future so long as he plays with them this year. Devontae Adams has stated now publicly that he is not willing to take anything less than becoming the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. Apparently, one of the ways they got Rodgers back was trading a 6th-round pick to Houston to get Randall Cobb back on the wide receiver squad over there in Green Bay. Tyler, how do you feel about the situation in Green Bay? I mean, it's been an absolute circus. I can't believe that Green Bay has gotten anything good done over there. But how do you feel?
Yeah.
Because Rodgers in a Green Bay uniform is still a threat to the Minnesota Vikings.
He is. It's a lot more scary now, but before I get started on that, Adam Schefter, I'm kind of a little disappointed in you. I don't know why you just tried to get all the clicks at the beginning of this offseason. Because if you would have told me a month ago, I'm like, Rodgers isn't coming back. And it just, as the weeks started going by, it just started feeling like he was going to come back more and more and more. And now he's here. But it's all started because Adam Schefter clickbaited me. And a lot of other people around the world. So, I don't know. I'm kind of disappointed in you, Adam. I hope you're listening to this.
But, Oh, boy.
I don't know. Anytime Aaron Rodgers steps on the football field for Green Bay, it just makes them like an actual good team. Without him, they're not good. Aaron's going to put this team on his back again. I'm still confident the Vikings can win the division, but it's going to be a lot harder now than it would have been without him. And the Packers, I don't know. He's coming back. He just didn't seem like a guy who was going to hold out for some reason. It kind of just like as the weeks kept going by, it just seemed like that he was going to come back for some odd reason. I don't really know why.
Well, it was never about money, right? Like that's kind of the one thing that we learned. And that's where I do have to say to the benefit or to back Adam Schefter, he has also stated from the beginning, this was never about money because Green Bay offered to make him the highest paid player, not just the highest paid quarterback, but the highest paid player in sports, basically behind Lionel Messi. So And he turned that down. He said, no, it's not about money. And he actually stated that in his press conference as well. So it hasn't been about that. It's not about that. He purely wants to be a part of the decision-making process. He feels he's earned that. And now, since he's been disrespected, he feels like he wants to have a say in his future, which, quite honestly, every Green Bay fan that I've talked to during this entire process has said they feel for Rodgers. They are on his side, and they agree with him. And the backstabbing that has gone on, basically, especially not telling him that they were going to trade up and draft Jordan Love. The fact that they were getting rid of players that he liked off their roster, all these types
he was
of
like
things.
listing players and stuff.
Not allowing him to help get free agents into Green Bay and stuff like that. Like, just absolutely insane things to me. That if I'm running a team, I cannot believe.
It's just funny. They don't realize that without him, they're not going to be good. It's crazy to me.
It's like they truly believe that they're going to be just fine. It's insane.
Yeah, it really is. Wow.
But yeah, so I mean, it's interesting. But to your point, right? Like, I'll be honest. I was kind of leaning into it just to see your perspective. I truly, actually don't believe this is a scary situation. I think that Rodgers has made an absolute circus out of Green Bay for these last several months. I think now, during this entire offseason, the fact that him and Davante Adams are like posting stuff like the last dance photos.
Okay, that was okay. Stop it.
Just like all these things.
That was ridiculous.
So stupid. I think that they're going to be way overhyped, and I don't think it's going to work out for them. And I truly believe the Vikings are going to dominate this division this year. I think that, and I feel good about saying that, because if you're going to be the best team, like if we're going to go for a championship like we're trying to, you have to beat the best to be the best.
Yep.
So, I mean, Green Bay was in the NFC Championship game. As far as I'm concerned, they've won the division, 2 times now in the last 2 years? So they are the best. We need to prove that we are the best by beating them, and that means, heck yeah, beat them with Rodgers. I mean, you did it with the terrible defense that you had.
Yep, exactly.
So why can't you do it with the much better defense that you have now on paper this year? So and fans back in US Bank Stadium, baby.
Yeah.
Green Bay, you're not going to get it easy again coming in here freaking, week 1 like you did last year with nobody in the house and just be able to dive bomb all over the place. That ain't happening.
And two rookie corners. Well, one was.
That's right. Yeah, right. Exactly. Literally no defensive line, no corners whatsoever. Yeah. Just whatever, man.
I don't know. I also wanted to bring up like the Davante Adams thing. Like that's crazy to me. Yeah, he deserves a lot of money, but I don't think he should be the highest paid receiver in the NFL, to be honest with you. I think Aaron Rodgers is what makes him as elite as he is. I think he is a top, maybe like 6'5" wide receiver, but I think DeAndre Hopkins and I think Stephon Diggs are both better receivers right now.
Interesting. That's an interesting
Adams.
Take. Wow.
I think they're both better than him.
I do think he's at least the second best. I think that he's the second best wide receiver in the NFL. I think DeAndre Hopkins is the best wide receiver in the NFL, to be honest with you. I truly believe that. But I do believe that Davante Adams is the second best wide receiver in the NFL. I would not take
Diggs.
I would not take Diggs over Davante Adams. You won't see Davante Adams on my fantasy squad if he's there, though. Like, I'll tell you right now, I still won't be taking any Packers this year. But like, just saying, it's not, like if I'm running an actual team, I want Davante Adams and not Stephon Diggs.
The thing is, though, it's like he hasn't proven to me with any other quarterback he's been putting up good numbers, though. It's kind of the same thing with Michael Thomas.
I hear you. Like, I get where your brain's at, right? Like,
yeah,
you're saying Rodgers is the elite one here, not Davante Adams. I totally
1,000%.
understand that. But I've seen way too many people break down Davante Adams' film and just like the things that he does as a wide receiver to make me believe that he's not in that top 2 conversation. Like, just the things that he does by himself. Are those things that he's learned and like talked with about Rodgers and like things that they put together? Absolutely. But there's no one saying that he can't go and do that with another quarterback and elevate their play. You know what I mean?
Okay. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Hey, we'll see. You know, who knows? Maybe Rodgers hasn't been doing any in-facility conditioning. So, you know, I don't want to be by any means, I don't want anybody thinking that I'm wishing ill intent on Rodgers, but if Rodgers gets injured and somebody else has to come in under center
Nothing's
for
happening
Green Bay
for
at
Adams.
any point, we'll see what happens with Devontae Adams. See where his numbers go. Or next year when he doesn't sign with Green Bay.
Green Bay, yeah. That's what I want to see, and that would be interesting.
Right. Rodgers and Devontae Adams exodus. Wouldn't that be amazing? All right, man. Well, I think that's it, really. I can't think of anything else that there is to cover, and I think we're just about at 30 minutes on the dot here. So with that, we are going to finish up this episode. So thank you all so much for tuning in. We don't have an exact date on when we're going to be recording these podcasts, so long as it's kind of in this off season. When it gets into preseason, that's when game reviews will start coming out again, of course. I don't think I've actually made this announcement on the podcast yet, but recently was hired by the Minnesota Vikings actually to work all of their home games. So I will be doing my best to stay up to date on those games, as I will not be watching them from the stands like I normally am. Super stoked about that and thankful to the Minnesota Vikings for giving me that opportunity. But yeah, I'm just so excited for this year, man. Like there's so much to be happy about. Training camp's coming up soon. Can't wait for the 4th with you guys to go out and see them on the practice field, get some fans back, that atmosphere back.
Yeah.
And then preseason starts and we're back on the grind, baby. We're back doing weekly episodes for sure and talking about news and keeping up with these Minnesota Vikings. All right, man. Well, thank y'all so much for listening. Make sure you go check out our other episodes at vicewithmike.com. Support the podcast, support the channel in any way, shape, or form, and we will see you all later. Skol.